It all started as a simple business idea. But one man's wealth pursuit is another man's dragon den. A den where your rights, your existence, the law, can be broken in 37 seconds. Carlton Hotel, in a different narrative, opened its doors to tired travelers as an alehouse in the 13th century. Today, however, in our narrative, it is the center of one of the biggest corruption cases in Slovakia. We begin our story in June of 2016. A good day for Erik Mlčík, Slovakian businessman and self-made owner of Arthur Real Estate Company. He just managed, after a 5 years preparation, to acquire Carlton Hotel, a valuable historical building in the center of Bratislava, Slovakia's capital, from an American entrepreneur, Erik Asimakopoulos. Erik passes the crown to Erik. This was done in partnership with Mlčík's then friend, co-owner of Slovakia's largest IT company with worldwide coverage and sales of antivirus system ESET, Maros GRUND. To complete a successful triad, GRUND's business partner, also co-owner of ESET, HRUBY. As of August 1st, 2016, Ad's property, owned by Mlčík, GRUND and HRUBY, was the sole shareholder of Carlton Property. During the transaction, HRUBY and GRUND participated only in background of the negotiations and were the least interested in the operation of the hotel. Neither HRUBY nor GRUND participated in the preparation and revision of contractual documentation with the seller. Everything was provided by Mlčík and his consulting team. He chose them as partners and preferred them to foreign partners because he wanted the hotel to be in Slovak hands and considered them to be trustworthy. They came to agreement that the ownership share of each in the project would be 1/3. Disagreements between the partners began in November 2016. HRUBY began suggesting to change the original deal with Mlčík, forcing him to lower his share in Ad's property, arguing that he only facilitated. Typical story. In IT, it would be called startup investor is squeezing out the creator of the startup. The Carlton deal was in danger. Since it was clear Mlčík was going to be rid of his management authority and threatened to have his agreed share lowered, he then decided to move the authority to act in the Carlton deal from Ad's property to Carlton Property, leaving HRUBY and GRUND their shares. On 16th of June 2017, Mlčík and his wife Zuzana Kalmanova received invitations to the General Assembly of the Carlton Property Company, from which they were to be removed as managers. On 21st of June 2017, Mlčík withdrew from contracts regarding the sale of business shares due to non-payment of remuneration for shares. On 14th of July 2017, Mlčík, out of cautiousness, drove to the company's premises where he was met by not HRUBY and GRUND, but instead their proxies, who leave the premises and will hold a fraudulent General Assembly at the gatehouse of the building without the participation of Mlčík and furthermore his knowledge. On 19th of July 2017, despite numerous obstacles and injunctions, the senior court clerk unprecedentedly recorded a change of directors at Carlton Property, and so the illegal transfer of Carlton ownership to HRUBY and GRUND began, all while Mlčík was on vacation. Postoj online magazine. After a closer study of the conversation in the events of the Carlton case, it is clear that a relatively large part of the debate between SKLENKA, KOČNER and Jankowska concerns this very case. There are more than 500 messages exchanged through Threema where the conversation can be attributed to the Carlton case. Marian Kočner, chief suspect in the murder of Jan Kuciak and Kushnirova, forged bills of exchange for Markiza TV, one of the main actors of the Gorilla case. Vladimír Sklenka, a judge known from Threema of Marian Kočner. Due to Threema, he has been suspended as of January 1st, 2020 and remains barred from his work. Allegedly, he received up to 185,000 euros in the form of a bribe. For a period of time, he tried to influence the allocation of files in court and to exploit the shortcomings of the Business Register's information system Corwin, which could change existing entries in the Business Register. However, his indictment against Mlčík is still valid, and him and his wife must defend themselves before the court. On November 27, 2017, a hearing in case number K33X-Gray 450/2017 in the matter of a motion for proceedings to harmonize data entered in the business register kept by the District Court of Bratislava 1 of the petitioners as property represented by Maroš GRUND and Rudolf HRUBY versus Eric Mikurčík took place. On July 17, 2017 at 2:52 p.m., on behalf of Carlton Property, a lawyer and managing director of the law firm SK Legal filed a motion to change the entry of data in the business register at the filing office of the Bratislava 1 District Court. He attached to this proposal a confirmation of payment of the court fee in the amount of €66, which was purchased on the same day at 10:58 a.m. It is non-standard that this written proposal, which has a total of 5 annexes, was immediately accepted for processing within 37 seconds of its delivery and assigned to a higher court clerk, Juraj Krutý. By such practice, Krutý could have been designated in advance to decide on the application for such an unlawful change in the register in a manner which might have been unlawful. It is objectively impossible for a staff member to be able to accept a written submission in 37 seconds to check the identity of all pages of copies of that submission in the range of 34 pages of text, to record such a written submission in the judicial information system, and then to assign an independent senior judicial officer in the case in question. Such a superficial performance of a court clerk is technically impossible in time. It is paradoxical that there has never been any similar or alleged technical error of Corwin information system in the past or in the future, and this has only happened in the submissions which have repeatedly violated Mikurčík's fundamental rights as a partner. The Corwin information system operates on the verge of legality as it makes it possible to block transcripts, but no law currently in force gives such an option to the registry court. In connection with the Carlton case, HRUBY personally met with KOČNER. HRUBY stated in this connection, "I went to this meeting because at the time when we found out that our former business partner was trying to transfer the Carlton Hotel to his company, we could not read the situation and understand it. Some have suggested that this is not his own initiative, but he has someone who finances and manages it and who is trying to get the hotel that way." HRUBY first lied to media about this meeting. Zoroslav Kolar, who is known from the mafia lists as a member of the PTO criminal group and who is currently being prosecuted for the crime of interfering with the independence of the court, knows HRUBY personally. Kolar is connected with HRUBY not only in terms of personnel, but also in terms of property through the company Slovakia Ring Agency. According to the findings of Transparency International Slovakia, the company Slovakia Ring Agency originally notified to the State Register of End Users persons from Cyprus and the Philippines who were to manage the Slovak company through one British and one Caribbean company. From mid-October 2020, a completely new entry appeared in the entire mailbox register for a company whose ownership is being rechained through a British company to an artificial foundation in a tax haven on the Caribbean island of Anguilla, but one of the official co-owners of the circuit was HRUBY. Kolar is being prosecuted for activities related to his efforts to influence judges in protecting his investment in Slovakia Ring Agency. America does not tolerate corruption and links to corruption. ESET is doing its biggest revenue in the US and is cooperating with both the CIA and NSA. And Mr. HRUBY is directly the CEO of ESET and is associated with KOČNER. Marian KOČNER is designated under Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act. Mikurčík lost everything. As far as Carlton goes, he only had one parking car left in his garage. The project he was working on was stolen. HRUBY and GRUND bullied Mikurčík to silence him, and even though today their ex-co-workers and executors are already sitting in prison, Mikurčík is still lawless, robbed, and put on trial. Will this system finally be fair, uncorrupt, irreversible? How much will it cost? Will there be special laws just for these men?